Daeho Kim liked the quiet of space. The repair station called Junction 42 sat far from Earth, hanging in the black between stars. Most days, Daeho fixed broken ships and machines. His shop was small, but ships came from all across the galaxy. To find him, people said Daeho could fix anything. "Hand me that wrench," Daeho told his robot helper as he worked under a ship engine. The small robot beeped and rolled over with the tool. Junction 42 was home to many aliens. Some had 6 arms, some had scales, some looked like walking trees. Daeho got along with all of them. He spoke 5 alien languages, but mostly he spoke the language of broken things. He understood machines better than people. That night, space. Rocks hit the station. The walls shook as small bits of space junk crashed against the outer hull. Storms like this happened every few months. Daeho was checking for damage when a light flashed on his monitor. "Something's out there," he said to himself. He looked at the screen. A small pod drifted near the station. It wasn't moving right. Daeho grabbed his spacesuit and went to the airlock. "Control, this is Kim. I'm going out to check something," he said into his radio. "Be careful, Kim," the station controller answered. "Storm's not over yet." Daeho pushed off from the station. His jetpack moved him slowly toward the pod. Up close, he could see it was damaged. The metal skin was bent and torn. The engines were cold. "A drop pod," he said. "Emergency escape type." He pulled it toward the repair dock. The pod was small, meant for one person, but it wasn't a human design. The writing on the side looked like nothing Daeho had seen before. Back inside the station, Daeho opened the pod's hatch. A cloud of strange-smelling air escaped. He looked inside and gasped. A small creature lay inside, not moving much. It had dark blue scales that shined in the light. Its body was long and thin with 4 legs ending in sharp claws. 2 damaged. Wings hung from its back, torn and bent in ways that looked painful. The creature was breathing, but barely. "What are you?" Daeho whispered. The creature opened its eyes. They were bright yellow with black slits down the middle. It made a soft sound like a hurt animal. Daeho had seen many aliens, but nothing like this. He pulled out his scanner and ran it over the creature's body. The screen blinked with information. "Species Draconis imperialis," he read. "But that can't be right." Everyone knew about the Draconis imperialis. They ruled the Cygnus Nebula, a mighty empire of dragon-like aliens. They rarely left their space. Humans had only met them a few times, and those meetings didn't always go well. Daeho checked the pod's computer. Most of the data was damaged, but he found a few videos. He played one. The video showed a large room with walls made of crystal. Tall, dragon-like creatures stood around a table with eggs. One egg opened, and a small creature emerged. The same, one now in Daeho's repair shop. A larger dragon looked at the baby and hissed. It spoke in a deep voice words that Daeho's translator changed to, "Wings damaged. Flight impossible, reject this one." Another dragon nodded. "The royal line must remain strong. No place for weakness." The video ended. Daeho looked at the small creature again. It was trying to move, making small sounds of pain. "They threw you away," Daeho said, "because your wings were damaged." He checked the pod's navigation data. It had been programmed to fly into deep space and then turn off all systems. The baby dragon was meant to die. "Royal line," Daeho said. "You're a princess." The baby dragon looked at him with those bright, yellow eyes. It seemed to understand. It made a sound that was almost like a word. Daeho thought for a moment. Helping this creature could be dangerous. The Draconis imperialis might come looking for it. They might be angry if they found out a human had taken one of their royals, but Daeho had always fixed broken things. That's what he did. Looking at the damaged wings, he already saw how he might help. With the right tools, the right materials. "If they don't want you," he said to the dragon, "their loss is my gain. I'll raise you myself." He picked up the baby dragon carefully. It was heavy, but not too heavy to carry. Its scales felt warm against his hands. "You need a name," he said. "I'll call you Misuk." It means beautiful life in my language. Misuk made a soft sound, almost like she approved. Daeho carried her to his living quarters behind the repair shop. He made a bed from soft rags and put her in it. Then he went to his computer and began searching for everything he could find about the Draconis Imperialis. There wasn't much. They were secretive, but he learned they ate meat, mostly. They could breathe both air and some types of gas that would kill humans. They grew slowly, taking 50 years to become adults. They could live for hundreds of years. Good thing I'm patient, Daeho said. He looked at Misuk, who had fallen asleep in her new bed. Her damaged wings twitched as she dreamed. Tomorrow, we'll fix those wings, he promised. Not like they want, better. Daeho stayed up all night drawing plans and making lists of materials he would need. By morning, he had designed a special harness that would support Misuk's wings until they healed. And he had ideas for other things too. Ways to make her stronger than she would have been. When the station woke up, Daeho sent messages to his alien friends who sold rare materials. Need special metals, he wrote, and medical supplies for scaled life forms. While he waited for replies, he fed Misuk some meat from his own food supplies. She ate hungrily, making happy noises. You're going to be a secret for now, he told her, until you're stronger. Misuk looked at him with those bright eyes and made a sound that almost seemed like words. Daeho wondered if she could learn to speak. We have time, he said. Lots of time. Outside the window of his repair shop, stars moved slowly past. Somewhere out there was the Draconis Empire, not knowing that their rejected princess had found a new home, not knowing that a human mechanic was already planning how to make her into something they never imagined. They'll be sorry they threw you away, Daeho promised Misuk. One day they'll see what a mistake they made. Misuk stretched her damaged wings and made a sound that almost seemed like agreement. 5 years passed on Junction 42. Behind the repair shop, in a room that Daeho had built with his own hands, Misuk was growing. She was no longer a small baby dragon. Now she was the size of a large earth dog, with muscles rippling under her, blue scales. Daeho walked into the training room carrying a box of metal parts. He was older now, gray hairs mixed with the black on his head. Lines marked his face around the eyes, but he still moved with the sure steps of a man who knew what he was doing. Time for your new wing supports, he said to Misuk. Misuk turned, her yellow eyes to him. She made a sound that was almost words. Over the years, she had learned to speak some human words, but her mouth was not made for them. Still, Daeho understood her. Yes, these are stronger, he said. You keep breaking the old ones. Misuk's wings had grown, but they were still not right for flying. In a normal Draconis, the wings would be twice as big by now, but Daeho had made special supports that helped her use them in other ways. He attached the new metal frames to her wings. They locked onto her scales with soft clicks. Misuk stretched them out. The metal gleamed in the light. Good, said Daeho. Now try the new move we worked on. Misuk nodded. She crouched low, then jumped high into the air. Her wings swept down, not to fly but to strike. The metal-edged wings sliced through a training dummy, cutting it in half. Perfect, said Daeho. You're learning fast. Keeping Misuk's secret had not been easy. The room had thick walls so no one could hear her. When people came to the shop, she stayed hidden. But Daeho had built a window that looked like a wall from outside. From inside, Misuk could watch him work and learn she did. She watched how Daeho fixed complex machines. She studied the aliens who came to the shop. She listened to their languages and began to understand them. Daeho gave her books to read and videos to watch. Her mind was sharp, maybe sharper than other Draconis. You're not like other dragons, Daeho told her one night as they ate dinner. You're built different. Misuk looked at the pictures Daeho had found of other Draconis. They were tall and thin with huge wings. They looked graceful, but not very strong. I am stronger, she said in her rough voice. Yes, said Daeho. Much stronger. Where most Draconis had thin bodies made for flying, Misuk had developed powerful muscles. Her damaged wings had turned into weapons with Daeho's help. The metal supports were not just for show. They had sharp edges and could fold into different shapes. Daeho had also taught her to fight. He knew human martial arts from his time on Earth. Mi-suk was a good student. She learned quickly and practiced hard. Again, Daeho would say when she made a mistake. Do it again until it's perfect. Today was a special day. For the first time, Mi-suk would leave the hidden room. Daeho had closed the shop. No customers would come. He had told everyone he needed a day off. "Remember what I told you," he said to Mi-suk. "Stay low. Move quietly. If anyone sees you, get back here fast." Mi-suk nodded. Her eyes were bright with excitement. They went out a secret door into the back parts of Junction 42. These areas were mostly empty, just pipes and wires and machines that kept the station running. Daeho had a key that let them in. Mi-suk moved carefully through the narrow spaces. Her claws made soft clicks on the metal floor. She touched everything, curious about all of it. "This is the real station," Daeho explained. "Most people never see these parts." They came to a large, empty room. It was used for storing big ship parts, but now it was empty. Daeho locked the door behind them. "Now you can really practice," he said. "Show me what you can do." Mi-suk moved to the center of the room. She stretched her wings, the metal supports, gleaming. Then she began to move. She jumped high, spun in the air, and landed without a sound. She ran up a wall and flipped backward. She used her wings as shields, as weapons, as tools. She moved faster than seemed possible for her size. Daeho watched with pride. This was what 5 years of secret training had created. Not a flying dragon, but something new. Something maybe better. "You're not broken," he said when she finished. "You're just built for a different purpose." Mi-suk made a sound that might have been a laugh. "What purpose?" Daeho looked serious. "I don't know yet, but someday we'll find out." Back in the hidden room, Daeho showed Mi-suk something new. It was a piece of metal shaped like a claw. "I made this from a special metal," he said. "It can cut through almost anything." Mi-suk touched it with her real claw. "For me?" "Yes," said Daeho. "I'll attach it to your front leg. It will make you even stronger." This was just the beginning. Over the years, Daeho had collected rare materials from ships that came to his shop. He had special tools and metals that most people had never seen, and he had ideas for how to use them. "The Draconis think you're weak because you can't fly," said Daeho. "We'll show them that there are other kinds of strength." Mi-suk nodded. She had seen videos of her kind. They spent most of their time in the air, looking down on everything. They thought that was power, but Mi-suk was learning a different kind of power. The power of metal and muscle. The power of being unexpected. Sometimes aliens would visit the shop and talk about the Draconis Empire. They said the dragons were proud. They said they only respected strength. They said the emperor was cruel to those he thought were weak. Mi-suk listened to these stories from her hidden room. She wondered about her real family, the ones who had thrown her away. Did they ever think about her? Did they wonder if she had died in space? Someday, Daeho told her, they'll know what they lost. The years passed this way, training, learning, growing stronger. Mi-suk was not like any Draconis had ever been. She was something new. Visitors to the shop sometimes caught glimpses of something moving in the back room. Rumors started about Daeho's pet or experiment. Some were afraid, but most just thought the old human mechanic was eccentric. Many humans were, out here in deep space. What they didn't know was that behind that wall, a new kind of predator was being created. Not by accident, but by design. By the careful hands of a human who knew how to fix broken things and make them better than new. 10 years had passed since Daeho found Mi-suk. The repair shop looked the same from outside, but inside much had changed. Mi-suk was no longer small. She stood taller than Daeho now. Her blue scales had darkened to a deep navy that almost looked black in dim light. The metal parts Daeho had added to her body gleamed against her scales. Daeho had grown older. His hair was mostly white now. His hands sometimes shook when he was tired. But his mind was still sharp and his eyes still saw every small detail. Try the new claw, he told Misuk one morning. Misuk lifted her front leg. The new metal claw Deho had made shined in the light. It was bigger than her natural claws and had small lights running along its edge. It feels good, she said. Her voice was deep and rough, but her words were clear now. She had learned to speak human language well. Deho smiled. It can cut through ship metal, and it can sense heat. See how the lights change when you point it at me? Misuk watched the lights turn from blue to red as she moved the claw toward Deho. I see. A loud bell rang in the shop. Someone was at the door. Deho checked the screen by the door. Go to the hiding room, he told Misuk. Now. Misuk moved quickly for her size. She went to the back room and closed the door. Through a small hole she could see the main shop without being seen. Deho opened the door. 5 tall figures walked in. They were Draconis Imperialis. Their wings were huge and perfect. They wore armor that gleamed with strange light. They walked with their heads high, looking down at everything. The tallest one spoke. Are you the human called Deho Kim? Deho nodded. He looked calm, but Misuk could see his hands were tight at his sides. I am. How can I help you? I am Commander Yuri of the Imperial Guard, said the tall dragon. We are searching for dangerous escaped specimens from our royal laboratories. Deho's face did not change. Specimens? What kind? Commander Yuri looked around the shop with narrow eyes. Modified creatures, Draconis that have been changed. They would be dangerous. Have you seen any unusual creatures in this area? Many unusual creatures come through Junction 42, said Deho, but no Draconis that I can recall. You are the first I've seen in my shop. Commander Yuri nodded slowly. We have tracked signals to this station. We believe one may be hiding here. Misuk felt her heart beat faster. Had they found her? How? She had never left the station. Deho had kept her hidden all these years. I have permission to search this station, said Commander Yuri. He held up a small device that glowed with official symbols. Deho nodded. Of course. Would you like some tea while you wait? Searching the whole station will take time. Misuk watched as Deho led the Draconis to a small table. He moved slowly, like an old man who was not worried about anything. But his right hand touched a small button on his belt. It was the emergency signal. Misuk knew what to do. They had practiced this many times. She moved to her special locker and took out the things she would need. A mask that would hide her face. Special covers for her claws that would change how they looked. And most important, a small device that would change how she smelled to other Draconis. In the main room, Deho served tea to the Imperial Guards. Tell me more about these specimens you're looking for, he said, so I can help. Commander Yuri sipped the tea. They are failed experiments, defective Draconis that were modified for combat. They escaped 10 years ago. 10 years is a long time to look for escaped experiments, said Deho. Commander Yuri's eyes narrowed. These are special cases. One in particular was of royal blood. I see, said Deho. And why come here to my small shop? We tracked unusual metal signatures, rare materials that should only exist in Imperial labs. Our scanners found traces here. Deho nodded slowly. I work with many rare metals. Ships from all over the galaxy come here for repairs. While they talked, Misuk moved silently through a small tunnel under the floor. Deho had built it years ago for this exact situation. It led to the station's main systems room. She reached the control panel and began to work. Her claws, both natural and metal, moved over the buttons with skill. Deho had taught her how all the station systems worked. Now she put that knowledge to use. In the shop, a red light began to flash. A loud alarm sounded. What is that? Asked Commander Yuri, standing up quickly. Station emergency, said Deho. Something's wrong with the main systems. The station's voice came over the speakers. Warning. Gravity system failure in Sector 3. Warning. Air pressure dropping in Sector 7. All personnel report to safety zones. The Imperial Guards looked at each other. Commander Yuri spoke into a small device on his wrist. Prepare the ship. We may need to leave quickly. You should go to your ship, said Deho. Station emergencies can be dangerous. Commander Yuri's eyes narrowed again. You will come with us. I have more questions. 2 guards moved to stand beside Deho. They were taking him. Misuk felt a hot anger fill her body. She pressed more buttons on the control panel. Lights all through the station began to flicker. In some areas, gravity turned off completely. In others, it doubled, pushing people to the floor. The door to Deho's shop slammed shut and locked. The lights went out. Emergency lights came on, casting red shadows everywhere. What is happening? Demanded Commander Yuri. Old station, said Deho calmly. Systems fail sometimes. Misuk moved back through the tunnel, but not to the shop. She went to another exit, one that came out in the corridor outside. She was in position. Inside the shop, Commander Yuri was angry now. This is too convenient. You did this somehow. Deho shook his head. How could an old human mechanic cause a station-wide emergency? Commander Yuri grabbed Deho by the front of his shirt. Where's the princess? We know she's here. Our scanners detected her DNA. Deho's eyes widened just a little. Then he smiled. So that's what this is really about. Not escaped experiments. You're looking for Misuk. How do you know that name? Hissed Commander Yuri. That name was never made public. Before Deho could answer, the shop door burst open. But it wasn't Misuk. It was 2 more Imperial guards. Commander, said one of them. The ship is ready, but we have a problem. Something is hunting our men. Commander Yuri let go of Deho. What do you mean, hunting? 3 guards are missing. We found one. He was torn apart. A loud crash came from the corridor, then a scream that cut off suddenly. It's here, whispered one of the guards. The lights went out completely. In the darkness, something moved. Fast, silent, deadly. When the emergency lights came back on 10 seconds later, 2 of the guards were gone. The others stood with weapons ready, looking in all directions. What is this? Demanded Commander Yuri. Show yourself. A low growl came from above them. They looked up to see Misuk clinging to the ceiling. Her eyes glowed in the red emergency light. Her metal parts shined. She looked nothing like a normal Draconis now. She was something new, something terrifying. She dropped down among them. The guards fired their weapons, but Misuk moved too fast. She was between them, around them, through them. Her claws, both natural and metal, cut through their armor like it was paper. In seconds, only Commander Yuri remained. He backed toward the door, his wings spread wide, ready to fly if there was space. What are you? He gasped. Misuk stood tall. She was covered in the blue blood of the guards. I am what you threw away, she said in her deep, rough voice. I am what you called defective. Commander Yuri's eyes went wide. Princess Misuk? Impossible. You were disposed of. You were damaged. Misuk moved closer. I was, now I am fixed. Better than fixed. I am improved. Commander Yuri turned and ran. Misuk let him go. She knew where he was going. Back to his ship, back to the Draconis Empire, back to tell them what he had seen. Deho stepped carefully over the bodies of the guards. You let him live, he said. Misuk nodded. He will tell them about me. They should be afraid. Deho looked at the destruction around them. We can't stay here now. No, agreed Misuk. It's time to leave. Time to show the Empire what they threw away. After the fight at Junction 42, Deho and Misuk had to leave quickly. They took a small ship that Deho had been fixing. It wasn't much to look at from the outside, but inside, Deho had made many special changes. The engines were faster than they looked. The walls were stronger than normal, and most important, it had a room big enough for Misuk. This will be our home for a while, Deho told Misuk as they flew away from the station. He looked sad to leave the repair shop that had been his home for so many years. Misuk watched the stars through a window. Where are we going? To the Cygnus Nebula, said Deho. to the heart of the Draconis Empire. Misuk turned to look at him with her bright yellow eyes. Why? They will try to kill us. Deho nodded. Yes, but hiding is no longer an option. Commander Yuri saw you. He knows you're alive. He knows what you've become. The Empire will hunt us forever now. So we run forever? No, said Deho. We go to them. We show them what they threw away. We claim your birthright. Misuk was quiet for a long time. Then she said, My birthright. You mean the throne? Yes, said Deho. You are royal blood. The throne could be yours. I don't want a throne, said Misuk. I want to be free. To live with you, fixing ships. Deho smiled, but his eyes were sad. That life is over now, and I am getting old, Misuk. I won't live forever. Misuk didn't like to think about that. In the 10 years they had been together, she had seen Deho grow from a strong man to an old one. His hair had turned white. His hands sometimes shook. He moved more slowly each year. Draconis lived for hundreds of years. Misuk was still young. She would live long after Deho was gone. The journey will take 2 years, said Deho. We can't go straight there. We must be careful. We'll stop at friendly places, get supplies, make you stronger. The small ship moved through space, staying away from main travel routes. They stopped at small stations where few people asked questions. Deho would repair things for money or supplies. Misuk stayed hidden most of the time, but sometimes she would help Deho with repairs when no one was looking. At each stop, Deho found new materials for Misuk, special metals, rare power sources, things that most people wouldn't know how to use, but Deho did. In the quiet times between stops, Deho worked on Misuk. Her wings, once just supported by metal frames, now had complex systems built into them. They couldn't let her fly like a normal Draconis, but they gave her other abilities. These will help you sense things around you, Deho explained as he worked on her left wing, like eyes that can see heat and movement. Misuk felt the new parts becoming part of her. It didn't hurt. Deho was always careful. He made sure the metal and her scales worked together. And these, he said, working on her right front leg, will make you stronger. You'll be able to break through almost anything. As the months passed, Misuk became something new. Not just a Draconis with metal parts, but a perfect blend of living creature and machine. The metal didn't just sit on her body. It worked with her. It made her better. Deho taught her everything he knew about the Draconis Empire, the royal family, the politics, the weaknesses of their society. They value only strength and purity, he said. They think being unchanged is being pure. They don't understand that adapting makes you stronger. Misuk thought about this. They threw me away because my wings were damaged, because I wasn't pure. Yes, said Deho. But what they call damage made you special. It made you something new. 1 year into their journey, they stopped at a small trading post on the edge of Draconis space. Deho went to buy supplies while Misuk stayed on the ship, but he came back running. Imperial ships, he said. They're searching for us. They had to leave quickly. As they flew away, 3 big Draconis ships followed them. Their weapons fired, but Deho's ship was faster than it looked. They escaped, but barely. They're looking everywhere for us, said Deho. They're afraid. Misuk nodded. Good. The closer they got to the Cygnus Nebula, the more careful they had to be. The space around the Draconis Empire was heavily guarded, but Deho knew secret routes, ways that big ships couldn't go. I studied the star maps for years, he told Misuk, planning for this day. Finally, after 2 years of travel, they reached the edge of the Cygnus Nebula. The stars here were different. The space was filled with glowing clouds of gas and dust. It was beautiful and strange. There, said Deho, pointing to a bright point of light. That's the capital planet. That's where you were born. Misuk looked at the distant light, and where I was thrown away. They landed on a small moon near the capital planet. From here they could see the Draconis Empire in all its glory. Huge. Ships moved between planets, cities floated in space, everything gleamed with light and power. It's beautiful, admitted Misuk. Yes, said Daiho, but it's dying. What do you mean? Daiho pointed to a screen that showed news from the Empire. The words were in the Draconis language, but Misuk could read them now. The Emperor, your clutch brother Jinho, is afraid of everything different. He wants only purity, no changes, no adaptations. But the galaxy is always changing. Species that don't adapt die out. The news showed the Emperor. He looked like Misuk in some ways, blue scales, yellow eyes, but his wings were huge and perfect. He looked graceful but not strong, not like Misuk. He fears outsiders, said Daiho. He's cut the Empire off from other species, but that makes them weak. They don't learn new things. They don't grow. Misuk watched the screen. She saw Draconis who looked sad and afraid. She saw soldiers everywhere. She saw beauty, but no joy. Is this what royalty means? She asked. Making others afraid. Daiho shook his head. No. True royalty means leading your people to be better, stronger, happier. How do we get to the capital? Asked Misuk. There's a way, said Daiho, but it's dangerous. He showed her a map. There was a small entrance to the capital planet, a place where garbage ships went in and out. It wasn't guarded well because no one thought important people would use it. We'll go in this way, said Daiho. Then we'll find allies. Allies who would help us. Not everyone is happy with Emperor Jinho, said Daiho. Some Draconis want change. They see the Empire growing weaker. They want a new leader. Misuk looked at herself. Her body was covered in metal parts. Her wings were weapons, not just for flying. She looked nothing like a traditional Draconis royal. Will they accept me? I am not pure. Daiho put his hand on her shoulder. You are what the Empire needs, not what they think they want. You are the future. Misuk nodded slowly. Then let's go. Let's show them what they threw away. Their small ship moved toward the capital planet, toward a confrontation that would change the Draconis Empire forever. The capital planet of the Draconis Empire glowed blue in the black sky. Daiho and Misuk's small ship moved toward it carefully. They followed a line of garbage ships heading to the planet. Stay close to the biggest ship, said Daiho. Their sensors won't see us in its shadow. Misuk watched the planet grow larger in the window. This was the world where she was born, the world that had thrown her away. Their ship landed in a huge area full of trash and broken things. No guards were here. No one wanted to be near garbage. We need to find Captain Hana, said Daiho. My sources say she leads those who want change. Misuk nodded. She wore a large cloak that covered her body and wings. From far away, she might look like a normal Draconis. But up close, anyone could see she was different. They moved through the city carefully. The buildings were tall and made of crystal that shined in the light of 3 moons. Draconis flew between towers on their large wings. Ground vehicles moved below for those who couldn't fly. Misuk saw how everyone looked the same. All Draconis had perfect wings. All moved the same way. Those who looked even a little different stayed out of sight. There, said Daiho, pointing to a building with a red door. That's where we meet Hana. Inside, the building was dark and quiet. A few Draconis sat at tables drinking from tall glasses. They all looked at Misuk when she entered. Her cloak covered most of her body, but her face was visible. A female Draconis approached them. She had deep green scales and sharp eyes. Are you the ones I'm waiting for? She asked in a low voice. Daiho nodded. We seek Captain Hana. The green Draconis looked at Misuk's face carefully. Follow me. She led them to a back room. Inside was another female Draconis with red scales. She wore the uniform of an Imperial Guard, but without the markings of rank. I am Hana, she said, and you must be the human mechanic who has caused so much trouble. She looked at Misuk. Is this her? Is this the princess? Misuk stepped forward and lowered her hood. I am Misuk. Hana's eyes widened. She had never seen a Draconis like Misuk before, the metal parts built into her scales, the wings that were weapons not just for flying. "You are what they say," said Hana. "Changed. Different." She walked around Misuk, looking at every detail. "Stronger." "Why did you want to meet us?" asked Daeho. Hana sat down at a small table. "The Empire is dying," she said. "Emperor Jin-Ho cares only about purity, about keeping things the same. He fears anything different, but the galaxy is changing. Other species grow stronger while we stay the same." "And you want change," said Misuk. "Yes," said Hana. "Many of us do, but we needed someone who could challenge Jin-Ho, someone of royal blood who is also different, someone who could show our people a new way." "You want me to take the throne," said Misuk. Hana nodded. "The old ways say any royal can challenge the emperor to combat for the throne. It's rarely done, but it's still the law." Daeho looked worried. "That means fighting Jin-Ho. He's a full-grown Draconis with perfect wings." "Yes," said Hana. "He's a skilled flyer. He's never lost a battle in the air." Misuk was quiet for a moment, then she said, "I don't fight in the air." Hana smiled. It showed her sharp teeth. "That's what makes you special. That's why you might win." They spent 3 days planning. Hana told them about the sky arena where all royal challenges took place. It was a huge open space with no roof. The combat would be watched by all important Draconis. "Jin-Ho will expect to fight in the air," said Hana. "That's where he's strongest. Then we'll surprise him," said Daeho. On the morning of the 4th day, Hana came to them with news. "Jin-Ho knows you're here," she said. "He's ordered a full search of the city. We must act now." Misuk stood. She had spent the last days preparing. Daeho had made final adjustments to her metal parts. She was ready. "How do I issue the challenge?" she asked. "You must go to the royal tower and announce yourself," said Hana. "As a royal, you have the right to enter. Once inside, you declare the challenge." "They'll try to stop her before she can enter," said Daeho. Hana nodded. "Yes, but I have friends in the guard. They'll help us get to the tower." They moved through the city in a covered vehicle. Hana wore her full Imperial Guard uniform. 6 other guards who supported her rode with them. The royal tower was the tallest building in the city. It was made of crystal that changed colors in the light. At the top was the sky arena. At the entrance, Hana and her guards surrounded Misuk. Daeho stayed close behind. The guards at the door tried to stop them. "Imperial business," said Hana, showing her rank badge. "Let us pass." Inside, they moved quickly through grand halls. The walls were covered with images of Draconis history. Misuk saw pictures of past emperors and empresses. They all looked the same. Perfect wings, long necks, thin bodies, not like her. At the entrance to the throne room, more guards stood in their way, but Hana's rank got them through again. The throne room was huge. The ceiling was so high Misuk could barely see it. Jin-Ho sat on a crystal throne at the far end. He looked much like the Draconis in the pictures. Perfect, but fragile. Like he might break if he fell. When they entered, he stood up. "What is this interruption?" Hana stepped forward and bowed. "Emperor, I bring someone who claims the right of challenge." Jin-Ho's eyes narrowed. "Challenge? Who would dare?" Misuk stepped forward and dropped her cloak. The room filled with gasps as everyone saw her. The metal parts, the changed wings, the strong body that looked nothing like a normal Draconis. "I dare," she said in her deep voice. "I am Misuk, daughter of the royal clutch. Your sister. I claim the right of challenge." Jin-Ho's face showed shock, then fear, then anger. "Misuk? Impossible. That defective hatchling was disposed of." "I was thrown away," said Misuk, "but I was found, raised, made stronger." Jin-Ho looked at Daeho. "By this human? This is an abomination. You are not Draconis anymore. You're a machine." "I am both," said Misuk, "and more than either. I am the future." "You have no right to challenge," said Jin-Ho. You are not pure. Hana stepped forward. The law says any of royal blood may challenge. It does not say they must be pure. The challenge is valid. Other Draconis in the room nodded. The law was the law. Jinho's eyes burned with anger. Fine. We will meet in the sky arena in 1 hour. There all will see what happens to those who defy nature. 1 hour later, Misuk stood in the sky arena. The open space was surrounded by seats filled with Draconis of high rank. Daeho stood at the edge, his old face worried but proud. Jinho entered from the other side. He wore light armor that gleamed in the sun. His wings were huge and perfect. This will be simple, he said to the crowd. The defective one cannot fly. In the sky, she will be helpless. Misuk said nothing. She stood still, waiting. A gong sounded. The combat began. Jinho shot into the air, his wings carrying him high above the arena. He circled, looking down at Misuk. Come up and fight, he called. Oh wait, you cannot. You are broken. Misuk looked up at him. Then she crouched low. The metal parts in her legs hummed with power. She jumped. The jump took her high into the air, much higher than any normal Draconis could jump. Jinho's eyes widened in surprise. Before he could move, she was on him. Her wings, which looked too small for flying, opened to reveal metal edges that gleamed in the sun. They sliced through the air as she spun, catching Jinho across his chest. They both fell, but Misuk twisted in the air and landed on her feet. Jinho crashed to the ground. He stood up, bleeding blue blood from a cut on his chest. His face showed fear now. What are you? He gasped. I am what you could have been, said Misuk, if you had not feared change. Jinho flew up again, but now he was more careful. He stayed higher, out of her jumping range. He thought he was safe. Misuk's metal parts began to glow. The systems Daeho had built into her wings activated. They didn't let her fly, but they did something else. She jumped again, not as high this time. But as she reached the top of her jump, her wings shot out a burst of energy that pushed her higher, then another, then another. She moved through the air in a way no one had ever seen before. Not flying, but not falling either. Jinho tried to flee, but Misuk was too fast. She caught him in the air and they fell together. This time when they hit the ground, Misuk was on top. Jinho lay on his back, Misuk's claws at his throat. The arena was silent. Kill me then, said Jinho. That is our way. Misuk looked down at him. Your way, not mine. I do not kill what can be changed. She stood up and turned to the crowd. I am Misuk, and I claim the throne. But I will not rule as those before me. I will not fear change. I will embrace it. Strength isn't purity, it's adaptation. Progress isn't preservation, it's evolution. For a moment, no one moved. Then Hana knelt. Other Draconis followed, one by one, until the whole arena was kneeling. All except Daeho. He stood tall, tears in his old eyes. Misuk walked to him. We did it, she said. Daeho smiled. You did it. You showed them what they threw away. Misuk looked around at the kneeling Draconis, at Jinho still lying on the ground, at the city, beyond the arena. Now, she said, we show them what they can become. In the years that followed, the Draconis Empire changed. Under Empress Misuk, they stopped fearing difference. They began to value new ideas. They opened their borders to other species. And the old human mechanic who had raised an empress became the most honored person in